Grand Theft Auto 6 lands the 19th of November 2026 on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, and Take-Two has already locked that date into its own earnings reports to investors. Rockstar has spent the last 2 years leaking, teasing, and quietly confirming more systems than any open-world game in history. On the surface, that sounds like a good problem to have. It isn't always one. More features mean more coding hours, more testing, and more animation budget pulled away from the heists, the guns, and the getaway. A game can drown in its own ambition just as easily as it can shine because of it. This is not a new problem for open-world games either. Bigger budgets tend to produce bigger feature lists, and bigger feature lists do not always translate into a tighter, more fun game to actually play. Here are 14 features, all pulled from confirmed details or retailer and community leaks, that Rockstar might want to trim, tone down, or rework before Leonida turns into a checklist simulator instead of a crime story. First up, fingernail customization. Leaked details confirm players can fine-tune Lucia's makeup, fingernail length, color, and style, on top of the usual clothes, hairstyles, and tattoos. That is an insane level of detail for a game built around robbing stores and running from cops at 2 in the morning. Nobody booted up GTA 5 back in 2013 wishing they could pick a cuticle shape before a job. Every hour an animator spends building nail polish shaders and manicure options is an hour not spent tuning how a shootout feels or how a car handles at top speed. It is a nice flex for a trailer, the kind of detail that gets a headline on its own. It is not a feature most players will ever stop to notice mid-heist, and that gap between effort and payoff is exactly the problem. Second, real-time hair and beard growth lifted straight from Red Dead Redemption 2's slower cowboy pacing. Fans have wanted this since RDR2 dropped back in 2018, and leaks suggest Rockstar built a version of it into GTA 6. That is a genuinely cool system for Arthur Morgan, a guy hiding out in the mountains for weeks at a time with nothing to do but wait. Jason and Lucia are not doing that. They are running a crime empire in a city that never sleeps, on a clock set by missions, money, and heat, not by how long a beard has been growing since the last cutscene. It is a flex feature that looks great in a screenshot and does almost nothing for the actual moment-to-moment gameplay that defines a GTA game. Third, the in-game social network. Leaked retailer listings describe a live feed where players can watch viral clips, follow influencers, and dig up secret side missions through their in-game phone. On paper, that is a smart way to make Leonida feel alive, connected, and current. In practice, GTA 4 already tried a version of this idea with its dating and texting systems back in 2008, and most players clicked through those screens as fast as possible just to get back to the streets. A phone feed that keeps pulling your eyes off the actual open world Rockstar spent a decade building is a strange thing to lean on this hard, especially when the last time Rockstar tried it, the response was lukewarm at best. Fourth, the minigame pileup. Confirmed and leaked activities include pool, boxing, basketball, tennis, mini-golf, and gym workouts, all stacked into the same open world. That is not a side activity anymore. That is a whole second game bolted onto the crime story. San Andreas had basketball and gym systems too back in 2004, and most players remember them today as filler between missions, not as highlights of the game. Stack 6 or 7 of these activities into one release, and Rockstar risks turning Leonida into a theme park with a story mode attached instead of a story mode with a theme park attached to it. Fun for an afternoon, sure, but none of it is why anyone lined up for this game in the first place. Fifth, hunting, fishing, scuba diving, and kayaking, all confirmed through leaks tied to a December 2025 GTA Online update called A Safe House in the Hill. Every one of these activities is lifted from Red Dead Redemption 2's slower, wilderness-driven pace. That pace worked when you were riding a horse through open plains with nowhere else to be and no wanted level chasing you down. It is a much rougher fit for 2 career criminals with a police response climbing behind them in real time. If animation budget and testing hours go toward a fishing rod instead of smarter police AI, that is a bad trade for a series built on speed, heat, and getting away clean. Sixth, the immobilizer bypass. Leaks point to a dedicated minigame just for hot-wiring higher-end cars, replacing the classic instant carjack players have relied on for over 2 decades. Realistic? Sure. Necessary? Not really. GTA has run for more than 20 years on a simple button press and a shove out the driver's door, and that simplicity is part of the series' identity. Turning every nice ride into a lockpicking puzzle sounds cool in a trailer breakdown, but it stops being cool the moment you are 3 cop cars deep in a chase and just need a car right now, not a hacking minigame standing between you and survival. 7th, customizable pets. This one is tied to the same December 2025 GTA Online update and is widely expected to carry over into GTA 6. Chop the dog barely mattered in GTA 5, outside of a handful of side missions and one running joke about pizza. A deeper pet system with feeding, grooming, or training sounds charming on a feature list, but it is another whole system competing for the exact same development hours that could go toward mission, variety, better heist planning, or a tighter main story with fewer loose threads. 8th, the branching dialogue system. Leaks describe interaction prompts like greet, threaten, and rob, each one triggering different NPC reactions depending on the situation and the character's mood. This is genuinely impressive on paper, and it is the same kind of system that made Red Dead Redemption 2 feel alive back in 2018. It also slowed RDR2 down constantly, with long scripted conversations interrupting open-world momentum right when players wanted to keep moving. If GTA 6 leans this hard into branching dialogue for random street encounters, a simple corner store robbery risks becoming a 5-minute negotiation instead of the 5-second job it has always been in this series. And before you click away, if you've ever thought about starting your own GTA channel but don't want to show your face, I put together a full blueprint that breaks down exactly how to do it. Scan the QR code now to grab it. Everything you need from niche, content strategy, tools, it's all in there. 9th, deep animal AI. Leaked details describe alligators and birds behaving naturally inside their own habitats across Leonida on top of rumored animal taming mechanics. That is a great detail for a nature documentary about the Everglades. It is a strange one to prioritize in a game about turf, cash, and heat on the street. Nobody is loading up GTA 6 to watch a heron fish in a swamp for 10 minutes, no matter how good the feathers look under Rockstar's new lighting engine. That is dev time spent on wildlife nobody will screenshot twice. 10th, small NPC routines. Leaks describe pedestrians using their phones, working out, shopping, and reacting to random world events as they each go about individual daily schedules. Rockstar is clearly chasing the same living world feel Red Dead Redemption 2 built with its NPC routines back in 2018. It is a nice touch in theory, the kind of thing that makes a city feel less like a set. In practice, if every random pedestrian on the sidewalk has a deep daily schedule running in the background at all times, that is processing power going toward ambient noise instead of sharper enemy AI during an actual shootout or a smarter police response during a chase. 11th, and this one has real stakes for how the game actually plays. The Wanted system reportedly lets police remember a player's car and license plate after a crime, instead of resetting once you shake the stars the old-fashioned way. That is a smart, realistic upgrade on paper, the kind of detail that sounds great in a feature breakdown video. It is also a system that could easily tip from tense into flat-out annoying if it turns every escape into a permanent record instead of a clean getaway once the heat dies down. If Rockstar does not tune this carefully, the Wanted level stops feeling like heat you can lose in a parking garage and starts feeling like a leash you can never fully slip for the rest of the save file. 12th, the new carry limit on weapons. Leaks confirm players can only hold 2 rifles and 2 pistols at once, with everything else stored in a vehicle's trunk, another system borrowed directly from Red Dead Redemption 2. That kind of realism works for Arthur Morgan on horseback with a saddlebag. It creates friction in a series where players are used to pulling a rocket launcher out of thin air mid-fight. Forcing a trip back to the car for a shotgun during a firefight is a rhythm breaker dressed up as immersion. 13th, the physical detail work. Leaks describe sweat, dirt buildup on clothing, facial blemishes, and an upgraded Euphoria engine for more advanced ragdoll physics. All of it looks incredible in a trailer, frame by frame. None of it changes how a heist actually plays out once the shooting starts. Rockstar is chasing a level of visual realism this series has never touched before, and that is fine on its own, but every hour spent animating sweat on a collar is an hour not spent on mission variety, AI smarts, or fixing the kind of bugs that plagued GTA Online at launch back in 2013. 14th, and this one is easy to miss. Fully detailed building interiors. Leaks describe walkable metro stations, motels, pawn shops, restaurants, supermarkets, and even functioning elevators scattered across the map. That is an enormous amount of interior modeling for spaces most players will walk through once, grab an item, and never think about again. GTA 5 got by with a handful of enterable interiors, and nobody complained the world felt empty. Building a fully furnished pawn shop with working elevators for a location you visit for 30 seconds is the kind of detail that eats a shocking number of development hours for a payoff almost nobody will stop to appreciate. On top of all 14 of these, the Ultimate Edition adds exclusive customization shops, Ride-Out Customs, and Sarah's Unisex Salon, along with personalized weapons and tattoos woven directly into the story as players progress, all locked behind a $20 upgrade over the standard $80 release. That is a monetization layer sitting right next to the core game before launch day even arrives, and it raises a fair question about how much of Jason and Lucia's wardrobe and arsenal ends up gated behind a price tier instead of something earned by simply playing the story Rockstar built. Stack all of this together, and GTA 6 is not short on ambition. Rockstar has never built a game with this much going on under the hood, across cities, swamps, and everything in between. Some of these systems will land perfectly and define how this generation talks about open-world games for the next decade. Others are exactly the kind of feature that sounds amazing in a leak, gets a headline of its own, and then quietly becomes the thing speedrunners skip and casual players forget exists 3 months after launch. But every single system on this list, from a manicure menu to a fully wired pawn shop nobody asked for, is competing for the same limited pool of development time, testing hours, and player attention as the missions, the heists, and the getaways that actually made this series what it is in the first place.